Palisades, and this I pray. Those fire brings away, for all I know today. Get out of Palisades, and this I pray.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and we are live. Winter storm heading for Texas grounds flights and menaces the grid. Flight cancellations are already piling up as a winter storm bears down on Texas and the U.S. South, bringing snow and ice that could coat power lines and trigger blackouts. As if Texas hasn't had it bad enough over the last 5 years. At least 169 flights from Dallas Fort Worth International Airport have been canceled for Thursday, according to FlightAware. Cancellations may also hit other major U.S. air hub Atlanta, which is forecast to get snow and freezing rain on Friday. At least 23 million people from Texas to the southern Appalachian Mountains are under winter storm watches, said Peter Molyneux, a forecaster from the U.S. Weather Prediction Center. It is going to be a pretty dicey travel setup, Molyneux said. Any air or road travel is looking at the potential for quite a few impacts. Now, any of you that are traveling, you might be doing like post-holiday travel or going home after holiday travel. I hope that everybody stays safe. But there is a lot to go over today. We're going to talk about ChatGPT and a gentleman that was supposedly trying to use it to take down our grid. Sounds like a pretty fishy setup. We're going to talk about this and much more. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, let's get right into it. And remember, you have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on marfooglenews.com. You, of course, have a source list at your fingertips. So if you haven't already, make sure to go check it out. You have, of course, just to look for this thumbnail, and then you'll find all of the sources for today's stories. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Let's talk about the man that was arrested for trying to bring a machete into the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center.
Yeah, so this apparently was just hours before the dawn was set to go there, but he was captured, or his bag was captured through a scanner. It turned out to have a large machete and multiple knives in it. They then arrested him and then went through and took the offensive weapons and have now charged him with having, I guess, illegal weapons in the building there. They're not sure what he was planning to do, but there was obviously a lot happening right now with the former president lying in state, Carter, there, as well as the Don making a visit. And then I just heard that another person was trying to set off a suspicious car fire near the Capitol there as well about an hour ago, and they were arrested. So some strange incidences happening right now in D.C.
And mind you, the man who was not immediately created yet, or named by police yet, was arrested on charges of carrying a dangerous weapon. So in these cases, it sounds like there's kind of a theme here. We have a story in just a little bit where another gentleman is supposedly trying to use ChatGPT, which is so absolutely stupid. Like everybody that, you see all these court cases where people end up using their search engines for, how to dispose of this or how to do this. And it's like, people are really that stupid. It just shows you how many people really don't know that we are being tracked and traced. Like our community, I guess if we were to do something like that, it would be a little bit different, wouldn't it? As far as this goes, though, it is... look at the timing. We're 12 days away from T-Man taking office. And I bet you, I will bet money on it that there are going to be more events in the next 12 days that are going to be just like this. And unfortunately, that is something that I think that there's not much we can do about. And then a state of emergency declared in Russian city after Ukraine's drones hit an oil depot for Putin's nuclear bombers. This is also a red line for Putin. At least it was, and it is. It has been. Several of the red lines that Putin has set have already been trampled on multiple times. And people really kind of scoff at Russia at this point because they have had so many red lines stompled on, which I think stompled is now my new word. But as far as that goes, if they were going to attack, or if they say that they purposely tried to attack this place with nuclear bombers, that's one of their kind of no-no zones. I don't know why that sounds weird, but you get it. Putin's no-no zone. A state of emergency has been declared in the Russian city of Engels after a Ukrainian drone strike hit an oil depot that supplies Russia's nuclear bomber planes. Saratov Regional Governor Roman Bergeson, who said that the firefighters have been perished while tackling the blaze. A huge fire exploded at the Crystal oil complex, as well as multiple explosions in the city of Engels after long-range strikes, said that Ukraine's military. It added that the oil depot supplied fuel to the Engels 2 military airfield where Russia's nuclear bombers fleet is based. The strike of the oil depot creates serious logistical problems for the strategic aviation of the Russian occupiers and significantly reduces their ability to strike at peaceful Ukrainian cities and civilian objects. Now, I just want to point out, if you were an alien on this world or from outside this world, you would look at something like this, and obviously there is a bias. We're in the United States. This is our enemy, so they're going to write it a certain way. But I do want to point out that obviously news is not unbiased, that it is not, you're getting opinion and you're getting it basically just kind of molded right into every single article. Obviously, everybody's opinion is going to be anti-Russia. You can debate on whether that's correct, and you could say, hey, Russia is bad. I agree with that. But again, when you are looking at the way that they cover things, it's just, you see Ukraine say, well, now they can't strike at peaceful things. Russia's saying essentially the same thing. If you didn't know either of these people, and they were both people you didn't know the backstories at all, you would say, hey, both of them are basically saying the exact same thing. It's war. Overall, war is bad. War, civilians perish. And in general, if we were a civilized society and we really have evolved, it wouldn't even be happening. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, that is one of the red lines. Dex, as far as the hitting the oil depots and things like that, we have seen all of their red lines get stomped on, or stompled, as I say. Do you think that they are going to strike back because of this?
Well, I mean, they've been striking hard all every day up until this point, and probably will tomorrow. So I don't know if it'll be in retaliation just for this, but I think it's worth reflecting on the fact that, like, how many of the strategic components of Russia's strategic forces, like their nuclear bombers and their strategic air defense, has been targeted by Ukraine, which really is the arm of the West. And it's a lot. We've reported on this for years now. And it just seems like every chance they get, they're going after something that is more specific to their strategic defense or strategic offense, not just, the battle that's ensuing on the front lines around the territories.
Yeah, they're going after very specific targets. They are trying to cripple different parts of Russia's offense and defense. At the same time, we don't get too many updates about how, there's Ukrainian troops inside of Russia. Like, it's so weird how Russia and Ukraine has really hit the back page, yet we're still funding them. We're still sending millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars in some cases, but yet we don't really get the most updates unless it's a really, really big thing. Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you haven't already, this is our recommendation to protect yourself against not only an EMP strike, which all of our adversaries have. It is actually one of the most probable events. If you were looking at any of the SHTF situations, one of the main things that any country would do to knock us out would be to knock out power and to knock out communications. Both of those things have been talked about ad nauseum. And now, of course, there is a device that can protect you against that. This will allow your cars to run after multiple EMP strikes. It will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your device, your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, pretty much anything with the motor, including generators and including even solar generators like the Bug Out or the Energy. Again, you can also get one for your home and ham radios. They have a device for pretty much everything. So make sure to go check out their website for more. If you end up using our link, you end up not only helping us out, we are completely independent. We're on our own against behemoths, but you are also getting yourself prepped at a huge discount, $50 off per device. So if you're outfitting multiple cars, it's a huge deal. Go to marfugglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. I want to thank, real quick, Chanel Bevaliqua did a super thanks, and I really, really appreciate not only that you've been here for years, but thank you for supporting even after the show. So thank you. Said, thanks, boys. Only real source of news, along with MFATW. I will have to check that one out. MFATW. I will have to check that one out. I don't know that off the top of my head. But thank you, and thank you. Florida Girl 5250 did a super thanks as well last week. And then Carlton Sutton, thank you as well. Dennis Hall, and last month, thank you, CD Dratton, or CD Ratton. Thank you. All right, let's move on, and we're going to get back into the news. We have sister of OpenAI boss Sam Altman accuses tech billionaire of childhood abuse. Now, there's the S word in there, the SA word. CEO denies the claims. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if they did it or not, or he did it or not. Once something like that goes out, there's no going back. And I believe that most people are going to believe something about that. One, because the guy was a nasty, thieving billionaire that was doing all sorts of shady stuff. Could you really put it past him? Not saying that he did it, because that would be, you could get in trouble for that kind of thing. But do I personally believe that this guy might have done something? I don't know. Again, all of these guys, these super, super billionaires, is just something altogether in its own category. And by the way, I'm so sorry. I was confusing him for the other Sam. Dex, do you want to cover Sam Altman and his sister accusing him?
Right. So, this is the head of OpenAI, the guy who's responsible for ChatGPT, the golden child, so to speak. Everybody's just had him on a pedestal, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, we've got this claim coming from his sister. Now, he did make an issue. He did issue a statement with his mother and two brothers. I guess putting out a combined statement denying the allegations. I guess the idea that himself with two other family members makes it sound more legit, but obviously then points the finger back at the sister and throws out mental health challenges as what she's facing. So we don't know. We'll see how far this goes, if this is a legit claim or not. It stems from childhood. She said it was back when she was young. All the way through, like when he was an adult, but she was not yet. She was It ended when she was a young adult, I guess you could say, or almost an adult. That's her allegation. But again, this is a pretty high profile individual, and this type of stuff popping up, at this level is rather interesting. And then what I want you to think about, we're going to talk about some other stuff related to ChatGPT. And aside from the point of what we're going to talk about specifically on those individual items, think about the fact that all of this negative press about Sam and ChatGPT is all of a sudden happening at once. So what does that mean? Is there something we should be reading into that? And you'll see as we go through the rest of the show.
And by the way, you remember that, first of all, this is probably going to disappear because there's probably some sort of back-end paycheck that's going on. And then even if it is true, it will disappear because they'll probably offer her millions and millions of dollars. She might be resentful because the guy is a ultra wealthy billionaire and maybe she's not. I don't know. That usually happens in these kind of families. Is she wealthy herself? Like, what's her backstory? Either way, with all of the other stories that are coming out, it makes you wonder if they are taking this down. Is there something about AI that we don't know about that's happening on the back end? You've had many claims. You also have other competitors. You have competitors that, who knows, might have something going on in the back end too. Other competitors that may have even been involved with OpenAI back in the day, which are now doing their own thing. There could be some super, super sketchy things going on here. But again, I think that once something like this comes out, it doesn't go back in. As far as her claims, I bet they will disappear. There will be some sort of closed door. I bet we'll cover an agreement or some sort of article saying that they've closed it outside of court and it goes away. But that doesn't mean that the damage done will. What do you guys think? And again, I don't know why I was thinking about the other Sam, the guy from what's it called? There was another story that just came out about what's going on with what's his face in.
You think about Bankman-Fried?
Bankman, yeah, in prison, and I don't know why I was thinking about that one. And then let's see here. And ChatGPT advised infamous neo-Nazi on how to attack the grid. This one, I will tell you right off the bat, right when I see this, the tingle in the hairs on my neck go up. Because if you look at something like this, if you've kind of have a sixth sense about these kinds of things, it seems to me like the timing is absolutely suspect. And we have seen things like this in the past. Dex, we just covered a story not too long ago about how they keep making these kind of American guys be the ones that are, trying to take the stuff down. Like they want to take it down and have a revolution. To me, it seems like something is trying to be triggered.
Yeah, it feels very forced, especially the way they're publicizing it, and the fact that in everybody's day to day, it's not like we look around left and right and see any groups that have any semblance of this doing this type of stuff. And maybe we just live sheltered lives, and there's some little corner off somewhere in the world that it's full of these notorious neo kind of people that are trying to take out grids and do all sorts of nasty things. And I'm not to say that the world's not full of some bad people, and I'm sure there are, but it certainly feels very, very contrived and stretched.
And as far as asking something like this, who would really be that stupid to do this? You would think that ChatGPT or somewhere there would be a flag that popped up and let them know about it. Who is going to use Google AI or something and type in stuff like this? Did they think that ChatGPT was some sort of private thing? I don't believe it. I don't believe there's really that stupid of an individual out there. But what do you guys think? This is very creepy. 12 days before we change power, and you have even more warnings about somebody looking up how to take down our grid. Well, I'm trying to remember the last story that we talked about with the grid. It was specifically something, there's been a bunch. There's been people taking pot shots at the different transformers, but there was one that they just stopped, that the feds ended up entrapping this person. Do you remember that one? Where the feds sold him the drone or something?
Yeah, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I don't remember the exact topic, but yeah, they totally walked them through the whole scenario. They were there with them along the way. They brought them all the way to launching the drones and flying them over. Yeah, I remember. It felt like they were just really involved, but of course they're calling it undercover. They're calling
Like
it
they were
UC work,
shaping it.
right? But it definitely, even from the narrative on the outside, it looked like they were just like, okay, running the whole show. Hey, Adam, I gave you I put a tweet up next. Speaking of power grids, this is actually going on right now in Fort Worth, apparently, as it's being reported by the public, so to speak, the public media, not the mainstream.
Yeah, so let's see here. We've got DFW scanner, explosion and a fire at a power substation off Henrietta Creek Road in North Fort Worth. So you have right here, you have a video of this thing going totally up in flames. Now, this is a power substation. Keep in mind, something like this, I don't see snow on the ground. What happened here? You know, is this because of a storm? Maybe you can't see the storm, that, you know, you can't actually see it happening, but it is.
I don't think we've
odd.
had those yet. I think that's coming. Like here in Atlanta, we're getting ours Friday. I think Texas is probably starting to get theirs tonight or tomorrow. But yeah.
So if you see this, you can see from down the street, this is a substation. This is why we prep. This is why we keep on our toes, because you never know. It does not look like there's a foot of snow. It does not look like the power lines are thick with, you know, heavy snow.
Hey, one of the guys has got shorts on. It's not that cold.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You are right. Right there. So standing on the corner, if you can't see him right there. But I know people. Yeah, there's people in my family that literally only wear shorts. They've never worn pants in their life. Usually it's bigger guys. Yeah. Thank you for the breaking news. Do we have somebody to credit for that? A Fugel fam?
No, I found it myself, actually. Sorry.
All right, so thank you. Let's see here. And then if you do have breaking news, and we're live, obviously we miss a lot of stuff during these 2 hours. So get it to us and we'll show it on the show. And then the Cybertruck guy. This is the guy who blew up his Cybertruck, Matt Livelsberger.
Hey, Adam.
Go ahead.
Let me give credit to Kelly because I just saw an email from her.
Okay, perfect.
Kelly sent it as well. So I'd love to give credit to somebody. But yes, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. And then Matthew Livelsberger, why don't you talk about this used AI? Again, another story negatively impacting ChatGPT.
Yeah, so again, we're getting this story about, like, let's throw ChatGPT into the mix of the negative press, right? And in this case, they're talking, you know, we just covered a story about the bad guy using it for how to, you know, and gain intelligence about how to take out a grid. And now they're saying that Livelsberger had used it to plan the events in Vegas. So, you know, the discovery comes nearly a week after the event. The review of the searches through ChatGPT indicate he was looking for information on targets, the speed at which certain rounds of ammo would travel, and whether fireworks were legal in Arizona. Excuse me. The soldier in Army Green Beret who deployed twice and lived in the Colorado Springs left notes saying that it was meant to be a stunt, meant to be a wake-up call, and they talk more about a lot of the stuff we've already covered. But the interesting thing is, again, where they're now tying back in, okay, look at this AI system that's being used by this, you know, negative event. And so you've got Sam getting sued. They bring out this Neo case from the grid, and now they're bringing up this recent event from Vegas with the Cybertruck. and it's ChatGPT, ChatGPT, ChatGPT. Is there a story there?
And I want to point out, this is a Green Beret, somebody who most likely, if he wanted to disappear, could and would have the knowledge on how to do this. This is the kind of guy that would go in and do something, right? What I don't understand is how he left all of this stuff just so stupidly, how everything just looks so perfect, like it just looks so amateur. His badge, this, that, everything is just so weird about this whole thing. And he used ChatGPT to do this? Like, was he... In that case, if you read the email, the first one, that one was the one that was verified by law enforcement. And then, of course, law enforcement popped out more that they found on his cell phone. They in that letter, he's basically talking about how they're watching him. And you're saying a guy who believes he's being watched by the feds is going to use ChatGPT? And how would they... How did they capture that afterwards? Before the fact, were they tracking him the whole time? Was he right? Were they watching the guy the whole time until this happened? And then you could also bring it to the point why didn't they stop him? Even if he had a VBED or vehicle-borne IED, if that was true and they were watching him and they weren't touching him, and because he said basically they won't touch me because they know I have a VB IED, this IED thing in his car, it's like, why wouldn't they stop that if they knew about it? And then if they were tracking him, then they probably would have known that, and he would be right in that email that they did know about all of that. I don't know. The whole thing is just super, super sus. Suspicious. All right, and then... again, just very, very weird things still continue to come out about this. Dex, go ahead.
Hey, great question from Susie Q in chat. Asked, is ChatGPT guy, I guess you mean Sam Altman, Elon Musk's competition? Well, yeah, that's a great question, and yes, that is exactly it. There is competition between Elon and Sam, and there's actually even a lawsuit ongoing between Elon and OpenAI, because OpenAI was supposed to be, and it was originally funded by Elon and others, it was supposed to be a non-profit organization that was supposed to build AI technology and make it open to the public to see everything inside what was going on, open source, as a mechanism of trying to make AI safer, as opposed to it being behind this closed door where nobody knows what's really going on. So Elon has been suing them because of that, because they did not uphold to their original foundation was. Now they're trying to take that into a for-profit business with tons of billions of dollars backed by Microsoft, etc. So yes, Susie Q, they absolutely are competitors.
She's probably referring, because I was mentioning that the competition could, not be happy with them. Like when it's coordinated like this, you would think there would have to be a lot of money involved. But what that would also mean is, first of all, most people consider Elon as the target of all these medias. Would he have sway? Would he even be able to get all of this negative stuff out? Or would he, if he did, so say if he had millions of dollars to pay people off or pay journalists, would he have to go through a third party because these journalists are all so, paid to hate him? She basically caught on what I was saying, but I wasn't trying to say, he is doing it. But again, that's exactly my point, is that is a competition. The guy who helped found it, all of a sudden now could very well be involved. These rich people have all sorts of crazy things going on. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and let's not forget the other major competitor, which is an adversary and outside of the country, and that's China. And China is behind, as far as everyone is concerned, in the AI space. That we've been hindering them with chips, et cetera, to try to make it so they stay behind and we can stay ahead. So, and if they potentially had the opportunity to influence or throw negative shade at Sam Altman, and that could slow down something like ChatGPT, which has been, evolving rather quickly. It could be an advantage to China. I don't know if China has the media in its pockets. Some say it does, some say it doesn't. It certainly had Hollywood in its pockets for a while. But that's another angle you could consider too.
I actually think that China has more of the media in their pocket than they did before, and more of the movies. Since the strike, this is a whole side rabbit hole. But if you go into almost all of the big budget movies now, almost all of them have big Chinese investors. And you'll notice our movies are really morphing. There's not too many good movies, as you guys probably know. If you have Prime, Netflix, or any of the other big ones, it's like there's just nothing good anymore. There's maybe 2 every month that come out that are somewhat interesting, even though thousands are put onto all these platforms. And it's all these horrible movies. Netflix is essentially all foreign films now. Almost everything you have to check if it's dubbed or subtitled, which again, some of them are good. But you used to have to use a VPN to, say, get the top 10 from France or the top 10 from India. Now you don't, because they have no contracts. All of their stuff has gone to other services. But when you have Paramount and all these other ones, all of them, you look at these movies, especially by like John Cena, Jackie Chan movie, whatever that was. You see these obvious movies. Moonfall was actually heavily funded by China. Some of you may have liked that movie. I actually somewhat liked that movie, but you could totally tell that China paid for it. They had China save the day and China provide the backup spaceship. It's like that wasn't on accident. They don't do anything by accident. When the CCP's involved, they will actually make sure that there's less patriotic stuff for the Americans. They'll even try to say, hey, can you have the Americans fail and then us come in with the savior, spaceship? Things like that are happening more and more, and you'll see it absolutely take a rise, especially after this strike. The whole writers' strike and the Writers Guild, it showed them, and a lot of them are striking because they don't want AI to start writing scripts. It already is. Why are you going to pay a writer $500,000 to write a script when you could have AI write 10 of them and then say, hey, or even 100 of them and go, this actually sounds like something we could do? It's the same thing that's happening. I mean, if you look at all of the magazines, they're not hiring actual illustrators. This picture, for gosh sakes, is probably AI. Most of the illustrations, everything is done by AI. As far as China has tons of money to throw. And, everybody's saying that they're going broke. I think maybe if they are going broke, it's because they're paying for all of these different operations around the world. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. CMAC says it's freezing here in Fort Worth. Oh, so you're actually in Fort Worth. Says it's 33 degrees. That explosion happened off of Henrietta Road. You can see it for miles. CMAC, if you can walk outside and take a picture of the cloud, send it to us. We'd love to see it. Or if you can make it over there, heck, get us an exclusive scoop. CMAC, I'm sorry that you guys are in that kind of temperature. Obviously, 33 is not fun. Luckily, it's not negative 33 like they say it's going to be. Alex Gallicos, Hollywood Hills are now on fire. So yeah, like I said, I who knows? We might actually see the Hollywood signs light on fire. Like Dex said, that there's a bunch of people sharing AI, pictures of the Hollywood signs on fire. What if we do? What if they were actually destroyed? Would they rebuild them? Or would they do it Holly weird? I don't know. I'm voting for the latter option, but that's just me. And before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace if you haven't already. This is an awesome service that you can, of course, order some of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics in a handy kit. This kit then can be used in an emergency, or if the hospitals are down, the cyber event takes out pharmacies, that you'll actually be able to still have a kit of all of your most common antibiotics. The Jace case is that kit, and it comes with a wide variety of things, but you can also add things on, like albuterol, emergency inhalers. Not everybody will agree with all of the medications, and some will go, hey, don't even take those, big company stuff and blah, blah, blah. I completely understand you, and I agree with you. But there are some people that are literally dependent on some of these things. So again, it is something to look at, especially if you're not ready to switch to all natural. Also, another thing to think about is if you are dependent on a medication and there are consequences for getting off of it, then I'd highly recommend checking out Jace Daily. Some folks have medications that are absolutely crucial to their survival, whether that's right or not. There is a service called Jace Daily, which you can get a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. So tomorrow the power goes off because something happens, EMP, power grid attacks, whatever it may be, or some American Steve goes in and takes them all out. Steve, aka Agent Mulder or whatever. Whatever happens, you will have yourself a year of your regular medications. Go check it out. That's called Jace Daily. Most people are going to go for the Jace case, and you will save with the code MARF. Marfooglenews.com/Jace, Jase. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/Jace, and make sure to use the code MARF. And we have Germany and France warn Donald against the use of force over Greenland. Again, he didn't directly say he would use force, but he wouldn't rule it out. Specifically, he just wouldn't say, well, maybe we won't use force. Dex, you want to talk about Germany and France and what they are actually saying to the Don?
Yeah, so they have warned the Don against any attempt to move borders by force, is their quote, after the Don said he was prepared to use economic tariffs or military might to seize control of the Danish-administered Greenland. So in a hastily called televised statement, Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz said the Don's remarks had triggered incomprehensible amongst European leaders. The principle and violability of the borders applies to every country, regardless of whether it's east of us or to the west, and every state must respect that, regardless of whether it's a small country or a very powerful state. So, what's interesting though, I get it. They're sort of like saying this can't be a big land grab, but on the other hand, it's like we're probably the biggest player right now in Greenland. I don't know if anybody else is really invested there as much as we are with our military bases. So, and part of me says we could probably, even if we don't acquire it, we could probably continue to do whatever it is we want to do there because of our ability to negotiate and what we could wield as far as a negotiation tactic with Denmark and Greenland itself. So, I don't know what they're worried about, but at the same time, I know even outside of, just the European leaders being upset about this, there's even people in our sphere around here in the sort of the truther area that are looking at this from some of the plans of the old days where they talked about how government evolution around the world would take place, and they looked at how it would be America, Canada, Greenland, and Mexico as one nation, Europe as another nation. It was basically 10 nations around the world at the time if they were to get to this global economy that they were pushing for. So I know a lot of people look at that and say, oh my gosh, that kind of looks like he's lining up with that too. So there's lots of different people that have different angles on this that aren't necessarily upset about it. And there's plenty of others that look at it and go, hey, this is a great opportunity for America.
And a good quote at the end. This was a quote. I think this was the Junior. And it says, these are people who feel they've been exploited. They haven't been treated fairly by Denmark. They're being held back from exploiting their natural resources. Whether it's coal, uranium, rare earths, gold, or diamonds, it's a really great place. I don't know. I think and I see that I'm being devil's advocate here, the way to look at it, like to say that in with the smile on your face, like they're not letting them exploit their natural resources. I don't know. That sounds funny to me, but maybe that's because I grew up in Seattle and I've got so much of that jobble in my head. Exploiting natural resources, like, God, just let them exploit it, for gosh sakes. Exploiting the word in itself. Gold or diamonds, and it's a really great place, saying, because it's got all of these, gold, diamonds, and money, basically, right? The whole Greenland, Canada, and U.S. thing, I mean, it really would be crazy. It really sounds like What if the Dawn knows something that we don't? Why are they really kind of targeting Canada? I know that Trudeau just resigned. We covered that the other night. And Trudeau and their actions of their government have been so freaking, echoing of something that China would do, especially with the protests and things that happen with the truckers. So it's really wild to see the comments that are being said. Like I said yesterday, if you're looking at this planet from the outside, you see the Dawn. If you didn't know anything, no politics, no nothing, you see the Dawn making these gestures towards what if Canada, U.S., and Greenland were all one thing. Russia and Ukraine and all of USSR back together. They've made hints towards that. North Korea takes South Korea. China takes Taiwan and possibly Japan, how Japan puts it, and Philippines, and actually their map, China says that they are essentially taking the ocean from all of those, Vietnam and Philippines. You have Venezuela saying, hey, we're going to take Guyana. You have all of these things happen. And then Iran saying, we want to, annihilate Israel and everybody else. And then Turkey grabbing Syria. How many land grabs are there either potentially happening right now or potentially in the future happening right now? This is the setup for World War III. If you can't see it, I think you are smoking on a pipe. Just saying. Saying, not spraying. And then Apocalyptic Inferno rips through. This is really rough, and I'm really praying for my... we have a personal family member, my second cousin, who just lost their home. Their home that they raised their kids in. Their kids are grown. They're my age. I think both are younger than me. But they're grown. And the husband, essentially, she said, we raised our kids in this house, got married in this house, and my husband died in this house. It is now gone. It is really, really rough. My wife's family in Washington just lost all of their belongings last year in a fire that happened in Spokane. So in our family, we have actually both had somebody in our close family that have lost their everything to this, to fires, right? So this is something that is just absolutely horrid. Dex, do we have an update? Or I hope that you're not going to say, I've got the Hollywood Hills sign on fire. Is that okay? Good. So first of all, this is something where the fire can spread so fast that I hope that everybody can get out in time. And if there is an evacuation, like there's that one lady that was just on the news essentially saying that she snuck past police to get in and hose her parents' house out. Everybody can see that point of view. Even the newscaster that was interviewing her says, no, I totally understand. Are we at a point where even the newscasters are like, yeah, F that, like, go protect your stuff? I mean, they're just like in other fires more recently, you've got fire hydrants that aren't working. You've got water that's not there. We talked about it all on our short over on Marfoogle News. Dex, this is like really, really getting to be, it's just one thing after another. And these fires, they just keep happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a big deal. As we talked about Hollywood Hills, I think they even said one had sparked up in Pasadena, but that one may have been extinguished. I don't know. I haven't heard the update on that. That was yesterday, so I think if it was a big deal, we'd hear about it today. But they're battling this blaze. It's burning through 5 football fields a minute, and they're running out of supplies. They're running out of water. And it's headed into Malibu, it's headed into Calabasas. It's not just the Pacific Palisades, and it's obviously Hollywood Hills. And, if the winds keep up and they don't have the resources to manage this, there's no telling where else this will go.
And they're saying, and just like we said yesterday, it's like, are people going to leave their keys in their car? If you are stuck in a situation like this, there's very little chance that, say you do get away, if you are leaving your car, leave that up to chance. If somebody steals it, hopefully you have insurance. But if you don't have insurance, what's the other option? That the fire totally takes it out? Like, if you don't have insurance, I would say leave your key anyways. People were leaving their cars and completely blocking the roads. And then the firefighters and the emergency workers could not move those cars. So they even said, we really need people to move their cars. KTLA said, so if you leave your car on Palisades Drive, leave your key in there. The actor said he had friends who can't get out of their homes due to vehicles left behind. So I bet we're going to see a perished list from this, and including firefighters, which I'm praying for you guys, the first responders. While everybody is running away and everybody's getting stuck and trying to get away from this thing, you guys are running in. So again, another salute to our firefighters in the house, and maybe Foogle fam that maybe you're not watching the show tonight because you're out either digging lines or you're fighting this fire right head on. So I'm praying for all of you guys, and I hope that everybody gets out of the way of the Palisades fire. And of course, this LA mess that's happening right now. Some I saw make comments about the whole LA part of this, and that, you know, it's like a signal from God or something. What do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. Of course, try to be polite in the comments. It matters. And then LAPD SWAT, I live in Fort Worth, went outside with my night vision goggles, zoomed in on a thing that looks like an orb. LAPD SWAT, send us the video, send us the pictures if you have any. I don't know if you have night vision goggles that can take pictures of it, but send it to us. We'll love to show it on the show. And then CMAC, I hope that you do well in Fort Worth. I hope you don't lose your power, especially since there's transformers blowing up there. And then Alex Gallegos, thank you, and thank you for not only your comment, but your support. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Great job, brother. Yeah, this ice that's coming for a lot of us is a big deal. I know we mentioned it earlier in the show.
Vortex.
From Texas to across to Georgia, we're going to have ice, they're saying, because we're getting this mix of frozen rain and then snow. And that's the kind of stuff that knocks out the power. I know I'm getting prepped. I'm getting all my generators, charged up, making sure everything's good, making sure I've got gas on hand and all that. Because, they're expecting that we could actually see some major power outages around here because of this. I know they were talking about it up north too, but down where we live, we don't get this kind of weather. So it's rare that we get the heavy winter stuff, just like Texas. When Texas got nailed with it, you saw their grid almost buckle. So it's not something we're prepared for, which I know you northerners probably laugh and say, oh, snow, big deal. We just plow right through it. We don't have snow plows. It's not like they clean our streets.
Yeah, you don't have sanding trucks 24/7 like some places. We're kind of in a similar situation. We don't get we get snow. I mean, we have a reasonable amount of years that we get it, but I mean we had like 5 years straight of none. So you see gaps like that, and who's going to start a snow plowing business when there's 5 years in between? Not too many people. A lot of the snow plows that do end up working year round, they go up to the pass, they go different places, and that's how they keep going. But that's usually their bread and butter. If they're to move somewhere else, it takes a lot out of it. And I'm sure the cities and the counties have some, but it's not nearly enough. So when we get it, it's really bad here. Obviously, we've had our whole city shut down for weeks at a time, almost a month. When I was younger, that was hell. I watched, I was probably 21 or something working downtown Seattle, and we had to walk from the Central District every day down. I saw I've told you guys this. We saw the funniest thing ever. A guy sliding down so slowly down a hill in not Capitol Hill, Central District on 23rd and I think it was 23rd and Jackson. Just goes over the hill, was going super fast, then realizes right at the top of the hill, like, oh crap, hill. And there was already a cop responding to like three or four crashes at the bottom. We're walking down the hill. We see this guy kind of fly off, and then all of a sudden he slows down, tries to stop, but then just slowly careens into every parked car. And the cop sits there on his radio, and he does over his loudspeaker. He goes, "You are an idiot. What made you go so fast? What were you thinking?" And he's just like clowning on the guy the entire way down. Nobody could get hurt. It was just parked cars. And he was going 2 miles an hour, destroying one thing after another. And I remember him swearing. I think he used the F word. He goes, "What were you effing thinking? You are an idiot. You are getting a ticket when you get to the bottom. Why were you going so fast?" Me and my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend at the time, we were laughing so hysterically. We could not help it. But we've had times like that in Seattle, so bad. That was the same one. If you live in Seattle or around in Washington, that was the one where the downtown buses stopped running. They could not get up the hills. They couldn't get up Pike. They couldn't get up any of them because it was just straight ice. That wasn't the one farther back. In 93, we had one that there was so much snow that it collapsed the entire port of Seattle. All of the boat kind of roofs collapsed on the boats and did millions and millions of dollars of damage. What we are going to experience now, as you guys know, that Texas snow-in that happened a few years back, that trapped my brother-in-law. My sister's hubby was on a business trip in Texas, and his company was sending him to Texas. He was in a hotel, like a reasonably nice. I don't know if it was a Holiday Inn or something. It wasn't like a Motel 6 or something. It was a nicer hotel, a nicer Holiday Inn maybe. I don't know which one it was. I'm not going to clown on whichever one. But essentially, when the pipes froze, they lost power and they lost water. And by law, they were told they could not keep people in their hotels. So the reason why this matters is the Fugel fam came in handy. He was stuck. The hotel was telling him he basically had a few hours to get out, and they really couldn't keep them. The entire hotel, they had to kick them out. They said, "You can't stay here." And they said, "You got to go somewhere." In that case, there was no Ubers. There were no other hotels. Everything was out of power, so there was no other place they could go. And even if they could go to another hotel somewhere down the line with power or with water that wasn't frozen, they couldn't get there. So a gentleman, and they closed down the airlines, they closed down everything. I put up a community post. It's still probably up there from years ago when that happened. And I said, "Hey, my brother-in-law is stuck. Is anybody in this area within I don't know, it was 15 minutes. Several Fugel family members put their name in the hat, and I basically talked to 2 or 3 of them and basically got to choose who was going to help my brother. It was absolutely amazing. It is a show of what awesomeness is in our chat. A gentleman ended up picking him up, driving over an hour and a half, picking him up in a 4-wheel drive vehicle, taking him back to his house. They ended up spending, I think, 2 nights at his house, drinking beers, going out to the local bar, because my brother-in-law's flight was completely put off and delayed. So until he could get a flight, this Fugel fam member ended up allowing him to stay in his house. He himself was a sales manager for something. So, in these kind of times, when this polar vortex hits, remember these things are going to happen. And really, it's the people that end up really shining through all of this. We've got to take care of each other. We've got to make sure that we try to spread the love around and help people out. I see so much, especially where I live in Washington. You see so many people on the side of the road in the snow, and nobody stops. I'm somebody who does, and really because of one of my close friends that was that person who I looked up to. He would turn around and go 10 miles back on a thing and get back on, even if he was in a hurry, to stop for somebody and help them change a tire or help them and see if they needed help, go to the gas station, whatever. But you don't see that here. And you don't see that anywhere. And I hope that populates, and I hope that more and more people help, especially if this polar vortex is going to be as bad as they say it is. I am praying that the perished list does not get too big. So with that, I'm in closing. I hope that all of you are safe through this polar vortex thing, and I hope that all of you are safe in the next 12 days, because it is looking like it's about to get wild. Thank you, LAPD SWAT. Thank you, CMAC. Thank you, Alex Gallegos. And thank you, everybody over on X, on Rumble, over on DLive. I love you guys, and thank you so much for making it today's show. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
You guys be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Make sure to thank your mods by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Drop an M in the chat right now for your wonderful mods.
Get out of palisades and miss the abyss I pray. The fire brings away for all I know today. Get out of palisades and this I pray.